Welcome to the Spacious Unknowing Network, Sunshine for Your Soul, with Julio
and JoJo Rose.
We invite you to enter into ecological equanimity in the unified field of spacious unknowing.
We open and awaken to broaden your access to the soul rhythm in all of us.
We engage in the pilgrimage inward to feel the infinite love that beats in the rhythm of our collective soul. We will guide you to new horizons and infinite love during our Inquire Within segment.
To accept that, you create your field.
I create my field.
And together, we create the unified field. Spacious Unknowing Network
with Julio
and JoJo Rose starts now. Aloha and welcome to Spacious Unknowing Network, Sunshine for Your Soul. Today's show is entitled, Do Not Lose Sight of the Whole. I'm JoJo Rose.
I'm Julio Rose. And JoJo?
Yes.
I think you have a lot of new things to tell us from about 2 weeks.
Yes, yeah. I do.
Okay.
So what I have come to, I'm an initiate of Spacious Unknowing Network. So what I have come to learn and understand is I am whole. I am whole. And that came about a couple of weeks ago. You and I were sitting quietly at our dining table. You were meditating and I was quiet and had my eyes closed. And from that, I started to speak and it was very different. Mm-hmm. It was the holy breath that came forth from me. And it lit, I was lit inside, like, oh. It was the first time I felt like it, I really felt it totally different from any other. Yeah, I totally felt it was very, very different. Alive. It was alive and it made me recognize and not recognize, it made me know and feel like I'm home. I'm really home. I have everything that I need inside of me. And as someone who prior to these changes lived from not knowing and not understanding a lot about life, not understanding me, this was like, woo-hoo.
Well, I want to say something before you go further with that, because when you spoke from the breath of life, I felt it inside. Mm-hmm. And that is what happens when somebody is speaking the word, the truth, the way of, it's such a beautiful sound. It's different. It has resonance. It vibrates. The person can feel it. And that isn't always true of words strung together.
Yes.
You know, it's not always true. So now go for what you were starting to say.
Well, and I want to say to you, I understand what you just said, because I have often felt that with you when you speak with me. It's that the holy breath in the word. So it really did open something new inside of me, and it made me begin to really want to understand. I've been one that has lived in my head a lot. What I want to say to the listener is truly anything in our life we can change. I say this because, and I've shared this on another show and I'm going to be very quick with it, but what I have come to realize because of the holy breath coming alive in me is that when someone has a trauma and they come in with a trauma, mine was the trauma of being in the isolate for the first 2 months of my life and being completely overwhelmed and overstimulated. So I retreated inside of my head so I didn't have to feel any of that. But it's common if someone has had any kind of trauma for them to be like washed over that way. And in being washed over that way, you leave, you go away, you shut down, you don't want to be here. And so from the happening with this holy breath, I started to, how can I describe it? I'm going to give an example. So we're in social media with Spacious Unknowing Network. And prior to this happening, I would go and put posts into our Facebook page and our Instagram page and just put a post in, just like do it and be in the action for the sake of being in the action, not knowing that, okay, there has to be some life in what I'm in. And a really something that Julie brought to my attention and other people have brought to my attention is that hashtags are really important. Well, I didn't understand hashtags, but in this particular day, I sat and you reminded me, what about social media and the hashtags? And so I sat in front of my computer and I got real quiet and went inside and went, okay, I'm not sure what to write. I don't know. I don't know what needs to be written for this particular post. I closed my eyes, and the next thing I knew, I started to receive what I needed to write. I did the post, and then I did hashtags based on the wording in the posts. But as I'm sitting doing the hashtags, all these other hashtags are coming to me. Like it just kept flowing. It was that creative feeling from inside of me. And I felt the difference. I felt the connectivity. I felt the joy in doing social media this way. And for anyone out there, I used to not enjoy doing social media. It actually kind of scared me a little bit because I didn't understand it. And when you don't understand something, things like fear and guilt and control can get in the way of you actually being able to be in what you need to be in. And so that was an aha, because it was real. It wasn't someone telling me, it was me feeling it and being in the happening of it.
Yeah.
Inside myself, inside my body, inside my form. But yet bringing it out forward this way, not just leaving it in here. I had to be an active participant in what I was bringing forward.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's very alive. It's very life-giving, life-affirming, and it is the breath of life. Without the breath of life, I wouldn't be here.
Neither would I. Neither would anybody else.
Yeah. And so the other part of this is after the after this breath of life, we had been speaking a lot on the senses. And I didn't really understand the way I used or misused my senses, which I did. When you retreat and you live in your head, you do. You're not fully embodied. You're not here. And so actually, I think the next morning after that morning where I spoke from the holy breath, the breath of life, I was sitting again, we were at the dining table, and I felt like, I'm going to use my hand, but in front of my face, I felt this energy. And I had my eyes closed, and this energy kept moving this way, drawing in, until it was here in my face. And I realized, well, that's my senses. My senses were out here, and they were being drawn in this way. And I went, oh. And an awakening that happened was, I've always, for many years, had difficulty with my eyes. Personally, the way I thought of them. And every time, like if I sit quietly and or need to feel like I have to understand something, I close my eyes. And this one particular morning after the census, I opened my eyes because there we were in an inquiry.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh, I don't have to close my eyes anymore with an inquiry. I can, if my eyes are closed, what is it that I'm not wanting to see
Uh-huh.
clearly?
Uh-huh.
So it all took on a new life for me,
Mhm.
a completely new life for me. And it's made it the other part of this. So I'm going to be very frank, listeners. The other part of this is I've always lived wanting others to make my decisions or basing my life off of the influence of another human being. Or trying to influence another human being, but in an unhealthy manner. And so in being here with you and in beginning to truly understand Spacious Unknowing Network and feeling it in my own being, in my own form, I've come to understand just how much I've done that even with you. And so I've had to, so that whoever is listening, you can understand that this has been me understanding my inner workings and my willingness to muscle up my will and recognize in the moment, oh, where am I and what am I doing?
Yeah.
Am I in this because you're in it? Am I in this because my soul is guiding me to this? Am I in this just for the heck of being in it, but not really considering and going in with it for
Joining.
understanding?
Yeah.
And so it's been a very what's the word, very eye-opening, heart-opening, crown opening, letting the flow in, understanding. And it's in continuum, it's every day. I'll give an example. So yesterday morning, we knew that we were going to, it's called Lokahi Kailua Market, and it's a market that has vendors that are craftsmen and artists, and we enjoy going there on Sundays when it works. And so in the morning, I kept hearing to write a check to you for a certain amount of money. And I was in the pondering, in the really wanting to know, is this the truth? Or is this an old habit of, well, I'm just going to give mom money because yada, 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 which is how I would frame it often without considering or being thoughtful or caring or kind or understanding it from the wholeness and wanting to be a contributor and all of that. So it took me a while to be with this and as I'm being in it, I realized, oh, this is not about money. This is about truth. This is what, if I'm choosing a life in the spirit of truth, if I'm choosing a life in Spacious Unknowing Network, then I have to give all of me. Everything is included in that.
Yeah.
Nothing is left out.
Yeah.
No part. And money has been one of the toughest things for me to really bring home. And I mean, it goes along with being easily influenced by others and trying to easily influence someone else. So that was like such a, ooh, oh, yeah, okay. Until I came and let you know what my intention was. And we went to the market and we met just wonderful people, that vendors, a lot of really interesting creators here on the island
with the aloha spirit.
And yes, woodworkers, photographers, recycled plants, Turkish textiles that are tie-dye, just beautiful. And so we happened to meet this young man who is a coffee roaster as well as a photographer. And we were looking through his photographs. Well, I eyed one and I went, "Oh, Mom, this is really cool." And we pulled it up and looked at it. We both loved it. It was like sea foam that had all these different colors in it, but they look like bubbles in the photograph. And then we were looking at other ones and found a different one that was on lava rock, but the same kind of the sea foam with the bubbles. The colors were so brilliant in each one of the bubbles. And we both, after much deliberation and talking to this gentleman, and we decided on that one. And I was really moved to, oh, well, I'm just, we talked for a moment and I'm going to go ahead and get this.
Well, before you did that, I realized that I had completely forgot my money at home, my wallet that I always take. And when I reached into my bag, I went, I didn't put that in my bag.
Yeah.
And I've never done that.
Yeah.
And I said, JoJo, and we went aside for a minute.
We did.
And then you immediately said, oh,
yeah, I'm going to go ahead and purchase it. And we did. And the beauty in this, we literally watched the young man that we were being with. He changed as we're all together because we so appreciated his work, and he was sharing with us the way he took the picture and his childlikeness in it. And it was such a joy.
And there were three pictures.
Yes.
We were trying to decide which one.
Yes.
And so we kept coming back to the one.
Yeah, we did.
That's the one we decided to get. Yeah.
So I can say these are little things, and they are, but some of the elements of these happenings have been things that have been big and difficult for me to be with. And yet, because I understand now that I am whole, I know that I can go in with anything that I'm feeling discomforted by.
Yeah.
Whether it's something in my personal life or it is something with someone facing me, that I can go in and receive what I need to receive.
Exactly.
And be comforted in it and know the way that I need to move and act and be. Another happening, we are on Instagram. And so I happened to, let's see, today is Monday. Saturday night, I went on Instagram and I happened to read, we followed Michelle Obama. And so Barack Obama put a post in there with pictures of he and Michelle, and what he wrote was so
Sasha and
no, this one was just the two of them.
Oh, okay.
And he was speaking on how people often ask him about marriage and how do they keep their marriage going. And some of the things he said in there really struck me in a way that it opened up a whole nother place inside of me. And basically he was saying that, you have a choice when you're married. You can either have a wedding and get married, or you can choose to be in a partnership with someone. And he was speaking in terms of when you live with someone, it's not always easy. It isn't always everything is neat and clean and tidy. There's often disagreements but there always has to be a way to communicate. And
exactly.
And he made the point that you have often made, that when one of them is going through difficulty or having a rough time, the other one is right there to be with them, to really help them to come into, and vice versa. what it did for me is because I've had a really hard time from living in my head, from not wanting to be here. It helped me to, oh, what I got in the middle of the night is, well, I don't know how to live day to day. And I don't know the way to live with another human being that's really true. And it shook me awake in a way that, oh, well, I can do this. I can change this beginning right now. And I think that's what helped me to be in that yesterday with the money with you, because I had the night before gotten that understanding and how life truly does work and flow. And
Well, what I love is that by going to the Lukahi market, and you go to the social media
yes,
after, connecting with the ones we met
Mhm.
there, I'm watching you understand what it's like to the contribution when you spoke of the money was not about money.
Mm-mm,
It was
not at all.
about connecting and being present in and present
Yes.
for something that, gave you joy.
Yeah.
And then the same thing is happening with people for you,
Yeah.
where you're really feeling the difference in meeting people and
I am.
connecting with them and then connecting on social media. So we really love to be with the creators that are
Yes.
in at Lokahi, and we love to share them. So if anybody elsewhere wants to buy something from Hawaii
Mhm.
that's original and they
Yes.
only make one of a kind,
Yeah.
each one of the vendors,
Yeah.
they can get it from them. And it's, to me, I always loved putting people together. That was
Yes.
something I've done all my life. And I love it because it's such a joy to watch what happens
Yeah.
and the connectivity and all of it. And you're the one who's noticing and feeling that
I
in
am.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so wonderful to see
Yeah.
you do that, because it's been hard for me to understand the isolation that people keep themselves in.
Mhm.
And now I understand what you've had to undergo to get
Mhm.
here, to really be willing to give yourself
Yeah.
something really special. And it
Mhm.
makes a difference, makes a big difference.
It makes a huge
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
To really give it the great value that it is, sometimes is difficult to put into words because I know the difference.
Yeah.
I feel the difference now. And for anyone that struggles with or has difficulty with living in their head or being afraid or feeling guilty about things in their life, I'm here to tell you that you can change those things in your life.
Mhm.
You have to need to. And that was, when I came here 3 years ago, that was my soul was calling me here for this purpose.
Yeah.
Did I fully understand it? No, I didn't.
Mhm.
And I'm learning every day what that really means.
Yeah.
And the wonder is, I feel like I've reached a really pivotal point where the way I used to feel pulled back,
Mhm.
I would like go forward a little bit, but then I would
Mhm.
be pulled
Exactly.
back.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I have everything I need inside of me that I can be truly who I came here to be.
Yeah. Keep
And not
moving.
keep moving.
But in a
Exactly.
healthy way, not
Yes.
to do something, but to
No.
be in your life.
Well, it was like this morning because we had it was just yesterday we went to the market. Yeah. And we got pictures with some of the people that
Oh,
were
yeah.
there. And some people we didn't get pictures with, but then some of them we had products. So I was like, we looked at the pictures and we're like, okay, well, this one we can use. And I was inspired with each one because I wanted to be able to put a post in highlighting them and tagging them so that others, like you said, others can learn of them.
Yeah.
It was a total different feel.
Yeah, because it's giving. It's really contributing to a whole life, a whole society. And that has been the hardest part for me with you, the 3 years until you came into this.
Yeah.
I've always had so many friends, and I didn't have any friends, and I couldn't seem to change that. And I understood by being with you what was creating that.
Yeah.
And we began to talk, but it still was just not even landing for you yet. And that took some being with it for it to begin to happen. And it's so delightful to me that now I can feel you're in it now.
Yeah.
You've got it. You feel it. You know it. You know you need this.
Yeah.
And that's the richest of all, because we all need this. There is no question about
we do
that.
all need this.
Really, we need to be with other people and always sharing and caring, because that's, I feel, our natural soul rhythm, or our heartbeat, or our crown, or our whole being engaged in that makes us a different person.
Yes.
And that is what the value of being here is all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. Well, and you have often said to me that it can't just be in here. It can't just be in your form, in your being.
Exactly.
It has to be brought this way.
Yeah.
And for so long, I didn't understand that. And
well, having lived in your head, you wouldn't understand it.
What I would like to do, because I really would like to bring something else to the listener, but I think right now it's time for a break. Please stay with us, because there is something that's really important that I would like to share with you when we are back from the break. Aloha, you're listening to Spacious Unknowing Network's Sunshine for Your Soul. I'm JoJo Rose.
I'm JoJo Rose.
So before the break, we were speaking on, I've come to realize that we can't just have it in here. It isn't enough to, I can feel the flow in here, but if I don't then have that flow come this way forward into my life in some kind of practical application or action, it's only half. It isn't whole.
Right. It isn't whole. And that's the most important. Losing sight of the whole is the most important message in this. Because now you have a wholeness in your sight.
Yes.
And you're aware of needing to live in that.
Yes.
And that is what Spacious Unknowing gives us.
Yeah, it does.
Is that,
And so I want to kind of put together a couple more things, couple more elements that were important in this change in me. One is a couple weeks prior to speaking from the breath of life, I began to, when I was in meditation, I began to feel my crown opening and the flow coming in. And I would bring it to my heart and ask for the purpose. Sometimes I would understand what the purpose was. Sometimes I wouldn't. But it was the first time that I didn't feel my head all, or it was a flow, a flow that came in. And I think what made that there's a lot of things that made that possible, but whenever I would feel my heart, I would do the same. Well, what is the purpose of this? And I was learning
the way to use it,
the way to be in it and be with it and bring it this way. So then this was happening with my crown. And I don't think I did that until you said something to me. You brought to my attention, well, you need to understand what the purpose is and bring it to your heart. And so that's really vital for people to
Let
understand,
it flow
to let
through.
it flow through,
Yeah.
because someone can, I thought I had my heart open. I thought I had my heart that I was, but it's different when the crown joins the heart.
Exactly.
It's a completely different feel, different way of living, breathing, talking,
Yep.
being. And with that, and with the senses, the other thing that you brought to my attention was the frontal cortex being online. So when you said that, I was like, okay, not really sure what the functions of the frontal cortex are. So I went online to learn.
Mhm.
So the frontal cortex, it's voluntary movement, it's any executive brain functions being online, which are inclusive of initiating, organizing, planning, self-control, in the context of being able to like self-regulate your own being and what may be happening or affecting you, and how to be with yourself. Well, I can share with you that in my life, my frontal cortex was not online until recently. I didn't understand cause and effect. I didn't understand. And if the frontal cortex isn't online, it would be hard to understand cause and effect and the importance of having, as you said, psychological life intact.
Well,
It's completely missing because I truly didn't see or know or understand the effect I had on others. I didn't.
no, I know that. And what was missing was the causal heart. It is a very specific place inside of us. It's a causal body. It's the AUM primordial sound that creates the whole universe and each one of us.
Yeah.
And it opens for the heart to start beating. So when it goes numb, because you've shut down, and anyone who shuts down, it shuts down the cause of heart.
Yeah.
So they don't know cause and effect. And we see a lot of people in our world today that have no clue about cause and effect.
Yeah.
And it really does make a huge difference in being able to navigate life. Because I used to say to you, well, use some leverage with the children. And I thought you knew what I meant, cause has an effect. So if you're in with them for something that you want changed, then you'll watch how it affects them and the change can happen. And now I understand fully, with you being here, that was not at all online. And because I was born with my heart and headline together, they're one in my hand. So I never had a separation of the heart and the crown. And so that's why at age 10, I could be with Larry and have my heart really very quickened by the fire that rose, and then have the crown light come in, the electric charge for the electromagnetic field for being with him when he was in such deep trouble as a 5-year-old. So definitely I learned then the way this was to be used, but I didn't know that not everyone had this capacity, and that I had to learn as an adult.
Yes.
And understand, well, I don't know what would bring them fully online then. Why doesn't their heart stay open?
Yeah.
When mine opened, it was a fountain. I couldn't close it down. And I didn't understand why that didn't happen. People's heart would be open and then it would shut. And it was strange to me. So I had to just be with that and be able to not judge them, but be able to want to feel it, get a grip, get like a consciousness that would open to show me And it would. And then, but the fullness of it is so gratifying to have you show me in real time
Yeah.
exactly what is needed for
Yeah.
all this to come together.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do know that everyone is whole.
Yes.
Not everyone knows that they're whole. It doesn't matter. They will be whole no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what pieces and parts they live in,
Yeah.
at some time from consciousness, they will recognize wholeness and be in it. And I did know that ahead of time. So I never worried or fretted about someone not already being there.
Yeah.
And I see with you what it called for
Mhm.
you to come to the place where your causal heart could thaw and not be frozen or numb any longer, and your frontal cortex and your whole brain, your wholeness. And that continues, there's
It
always
does. There's
learning
always.
every single day. It's not like, oh, she got it all. No, I didn't get it all. You didn't get it all. We're here. And we're here for great purpose.
Yeah.
And really, I love to be with people, to see and be present for them in ways that would assist them in opening up and understanding themselves and their
Yes.
inner workings better. Because I used to call it inner work, and I watched how each of you were very much about this continuation of a struggling life and a hard life. And I thought, well, that's work the way they have felt it, but I'm not talking about that. Then I realized, well, it's really inner workings and the way everything inside works. To be able to understand that,
Yes.
then you have something to use for the next thing, and then the next thing, and you keep applying it, and the next thing you know, you have you in a brand new way. And the fact that you could go to Google and look up the frontal cortex yourself without me, I just told you the word and let you do the rest. And it's such a joy to me that you're acting on it, you're going for it, you're initiating it yourself. And that is very beautiful to behold. Yeah.
It's beautiful to feel.
Yeah, I know.
And to be in the action of it.
Yeah, I get
And
that.
it wasn't enough. The interesting thing to me in this is that not that long ago, that would have been enough. It would have been enough for you to say to me, frontal cortex. That would have been the end of it.
I know that,
But
JoJo.
I know, but I'm saying it for the listeners so that they can understand why this means so much, why it's so affecting me the way it's affecting me. Because I used to skim out life and act like everything. Let me put it in the I'll really simply. I used to pretend. I used to pretend that everything was okay when I was completely dying inside and overwhelmed. So to be here now, and it for anyone for the listeners, it has been something where I've had to continually come this way. It's in layers and levels, and I never understood that. Like you said a few minutes ago, oh, well, it's done. And not that long ago, I believed that. Oh, I already did that. I'm all good.
I remember.
I'm all good.
Oh,
like I have a spiritual life because I took care of that. No, it's ongoing. It's in layers and levels, and you're
spiraling,
continually moving.
Yeah.
And changing. And thank God for that. I mean, the other really big one recently was we were at the table again, and you said something and transition. And let me tell you, transition used to be one of the toughest things for me because I didn't have my frontal cortex online and I didn't understand cause and effect. So the idea of transition was scary for me. I didn't know if I could make it from here to there. But recently it was like, oh, yay, another transition. It was a
Yeah.
complete change.
Yeah, you began to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and accept.
Yeah.
And the acceptance is huge.
It is.
Allowing, accepting, that's so big in this world, in this lifetime, in this way. Because without the acceptance, there's no opening inside of you to receive something new, something, yeah, oh, okay, I get it. Because it's so important to let go of so much and let in something that lifts you and gifts you with new life.
Yeah.
It's so worthwhile.
Yeah, it is.
And it really undoes all that worthless feeling that the mind, the living in the head keeps recreating continually, is that worthlessness, which is so debilitating. And to rise up and understand the inner workings to the degree that you can transmute all of that that's the inner workings. That is learning how they work, and the way that they work together when you let them, when you allow. It's so, I could say it's powerful, but I only speak of it from like a soft power. Not a pushing through,
right? No,
which is old and struggle life, hardship and struggle. And that's not what this is about at all.
No. And it's interesting because I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm, again, I want to honor you with deep respect in that I understand I've had to be in my inner workings. I really get that. I also know from my heartbeat that I came into this life to be with you for this purpose.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest things that I have received in continuum in my life is love. Love that is beyond. I am always loved. Even when I, for lack of a better word, really fought against it. Really, I've always been loved. And so that is such an important part of all of this.
Yeah, it is. And it is true for everyone.
Yeah.
And it's so important to come into that loving of your being, the awareness that you need to love.
That's right.
You in every part and place and everything about yourself that lets you have you.
Yeah.
Lets you understand you better, because you can't understand you if you think you're bad and wrong. You're just gonna boom, toss it away.
Right.
Well, you're not tossable.
No, I'm not.
And so much of today is disposable, goods and people. And that's not okay.
No, it isn't.
No person is disposable.
No.
That is just not the truth. So it's very calming to learn those things, and
it is
peaceful to understand there's something much different and better for us all.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's love.
And
cosmic love is beyond the beyond. It's beyond every kind of love that any humankind, any person that's a human could ever know. Cosmic love is the greatest love. It's beyond the beyond. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm speechless right now. Because the feeling is so the gratitude is deep. The joy is deep. You said earlier that I'm happy, and it's true. It's an interior happiness. And I haven't felt this way since I was a child.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah, and when I watch you come alive the way you were as a child, it's such a joy
yeah,
because that childlikeness is so precious
yeah,
and dear. I mean, we love children and we see that
yeah,
preciousness and hear it in their
yes,
voices. And it's so much fun to listen to them.
it is.
And, you know, the childlikeness is really what we all need as adults
Yeah,
so that we can be easier on ourselves and with our navigating
yeah.
life.
Mhm.
And it's beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, it's very
Precious.
beautiful. Yes. Yes, it is. I'm thankful that I have the things online that I need to have online to live this life
Yeah,
in
and
Spacious
online,
Unknowing Network.
when we speak of online, we're speaking about the human form and the human form. When online this way with the computer is very important because we do learn a lot through the computer and we use it really for a lot of good happenings. So we're thankful for it. But the online that we speak of is the parts and in the wholeness are very important to be known to us.
Yeah.
That spacious unknowing allows them to be known to us so that, you know, not all at once, but as the unfolding of the life
Yes.
is, then we can get to understand and know
Yeah.
what will make, let's say, your life different and expand and appreciate and
Yeah.
enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yesterday somebody asked us about a podcast because they didn't realize that the show was not only on Facebook Live, but it also is on YouTube and in many podcasts.
Yes.
So that was interesting, and I hadn't thought much about that
I hadn't either.
because, you know, we know it,
Right.
but it was really good to hear him say that because it made us conscious that we need to say it,
Yes. Make it known.
yeah, to the listener that there are all these ways to
Yes.
listen.
Yeah.
Not just Facebook Live or YouTube.
Yeah, and he framed it in the context of, you know, some people, if they're driving
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
in the middle of something, they don't have a screen in front of them. A podcast is easy. They can listen
Yeah.
and still get a lot from
Yeah.
what they're listening to.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it was really, he framed it very well and made it very clear.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have a friend who doesn't have a computer, but she does have a beautiful phone. So she can listen easily, and that's enough, you know. So that's really important for us to bring to the attention of people that listen.
Yeah, it is. Definitely.
And not take for granted that they all already know that.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't like to take things for granted.
No, and you know, that's another aspect to all of this and being in the talk show and learning and the growth, and sometimes it's little things that end up being big things that we don't really think about, and I feel like that's one of them. Like, we'll give the audience, give the listener all the different ways to be able to listen in. So it's important to be awake and aware and provide that information for our listeners. And for any new people that, you know, find us on social media, know the ways with which to.
Well, I think another reason it's been fun going to Lokahi because some of them have listened to the show and they give us feedback.
Yes.
And that's the first feedback we've had.
Yeah, it is.
Since we started. So it's kind of neat and cool.
It is.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it is wonderful. It's always good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's important. I mean, that's another aspect
Yeah.
that's important to life.
Well, it's
It's-
social. It's meeting up with beings who are communicative, and our producer has been real sweet with
Yes,
us with
she
her
sure has.
kind words to us.
Yes.
Lydia, that's Lydia, our producer.
Yes.
We
Yay for Lydia. Woohoo. We appreciate you, Lydia.
Yep.
Well, we're just about to the end of the show, but I do want to add I in the tone of information,
Okay.
I made the mistake of, for anyone that lives in Hawaii, not letting them know that the time of our show here in Hawaii is no longer at 4 p.m. It is now at 5 p.m. So for anyone that lives in Hawaii and has found our show but has not met us face to face in person, our show now is live at 5 p.m. Hawaii time.
On Monday.
On Monday.
Tuesday.
And so I also want to let people know that on Tuesday, our show is available on our YouTube channel, Spacious Unknowing Network, after 3 p.m. Hawaii time. And you can also listen to our show via podcasts like Apple Podcast, Castbox, iHeartRadio, or anywhere that you can get podcasts for yourself. So I want to make that very clear for our listeners as well. We can be found on Instagram at Spacious Unknowing Network. We have a Facebook business page, Spacious Unknowing Network. And of course, our website, spaciousUnknowingnetwork.com. Our email address is sun@spaciousUnknowingnetwork.com. So for anyone that would like to get in contact with us, give us feedback, however your heart moves you, those are the different ways that you can reach out to us.
Mm-hmm.
I, JoJo Rose, would love to hear from you. And I'm sure that Julio Rose feels the same way.
I agree. And what's more,
I concur. And as you can tell, we always have a lot of fun with each other. There's always lots of laughter, along with the inner workings.
They go together.
They do go together. Well, we are once again at the end of our show. We will see you here next Monday if you decide to listen live at 5 p.m. Hawaii time, 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. If you decide to listen in on Tuesday, you can hear us on YouTube, spaciousUnknowingnetwork.com, or on any podcast, Apple, Castbox, or iHeartRadio, or any other platform that you use for podcast listening. Enjoy. And until next week, aloha.
Thank you for listening to Spacious Unknowing Network, Sunshine for Your Soul, with Julio
And JoJo Rose.
Join us again for life-affirming communication every Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific Time on TransformationTalkRadio.com so that you can bask in the rays of infinite love.
Access soul rhythm to tap into your real being for your heartbeat in the rhythm of your soul.
Feel it guide you to new horizons and unlimited infinite love. For more information about Julio
And JoJo Rose,
visit SpaciousUnknowingnetwork.com. That's SpaciousUnknowingnetwork.com.